Hey guys, it's Ciara and welcome to another vlog. I am genuinely so excited for today's vlog. It has been a long time coming, but it's currently Friday morning. I have the entire day off work, and that is because my lovely friend Lucy, who I'm sure a lot of you will know from her channel Crescent Pages, as well as the Dark Academics Book Club, which she co-hosts with me and obviously a few other lovely booktubers as well. But Lucy is actually coming up to York to stay over, and I'm so excited. We've been trying to arrange like a meetup for the longest time now, but just between both of our work schedules and then the various lockdowns and whatnot that we've had over the last year, we just haven't been able to make it work until now. But she's on the way, she's currently on the train, and I am so excited. We're going to be book shopping, eating lots of great food, and just generally it'll be so lovely to actually meet in person after so long of just being friends through the internet. So that's very exciting. Now, because of that, I don't know exactly how much reading I'm going to be doing this weekend, if any. I'm going to try and read a few pages, especially because I'm going to be buying new books, so it kind of makes me feel a bit guilty if I've still not been reading the ones that are already on my shelves. So although I don't know how much I'll be reading or exactly what I'll be in the mood for, I have narrowed it down to two top contenders. So first up we have Sunset by Jessie Cave. This is a new release, came out in June, and it's a signed copy. I've been excited about this book since it got announced at some point last year. I absolutely love Jessie. I think she is hilarious, and I just think this is going to be a really great book, so I definitely want to read this one soon. If not this weekend, then in the very near future, but I'm going to try and make a start this weekend. And then the other book is one that I actually talked about in my last reading vlog, and that was The Castaways, by Lucy Clark. And I just literally cannot hear the word castaways without wanting to go into the Backyardigans song. I blame TikTok. But regardless, this sounds like a really interesting thriller about kind of well, I guess castaways, people who are like trapped on like a desert island without any way to escape, and some dark things ensue. So it sounds really interesting. So I've kind of got one that's a bit more contemporary, one that is more thrillery, and both of them sound really interesting. So that is what is on the agenda for reading. Aside from that, you'll be seeing lots of fun bookish stuff, and I'm about to set off to go and meet Lucy from the train station. But before I do, I've actually had a very fun non-bookish delivery that I want to share with you all. Now, as we all know, my big love aside from books is food, and so when the brand Rhythms got in touch with me on Instagram and asked to send me some of their products, I was so excited because I already love their stuff. They are like a fully plant-based food, confectionery, sweet chocolate type business. So I've had their biscuits before, I've had their chocolate bars. They make like little truffle chocolate bars and things that actually taste like proper chocolate. There are loads and loads of good dairy-free like blocks of chocolate available, but one thing that I think is missing from the market, like on a more mainstream level, is things that just like have fillings. So, you know, you've obviously got like Bounty bars filled with coconut, there are like Mars bars with the like caramel and the nougat, you've just got like general caramel chocolates, and I think that finding vegan chocolates that are actually interesting to eat is difficult, but Rhythms have that. So I don't actually know what exactly is in this box, but I figured let's find out together. So, oh god, I should not be wielding scissors that close to my face. Okay, I'm in. Ta-da! Oh, I'm so excited. Oh my god. Have you seen all the stuff in here? Whoa, okay, so what have we got? Soft baked filled cookies, vegan hazelnut chocolate praline. We had this debate on the podcast a few weeks ago, and it's one of those words that no matter how you say it, it never sounds right. They also have chocolate peanut butter soft cookies, and then little crunchy cookies. We've got coconut crunch, oh my god, it's delicious, and almond biscotti. That sounds so nice. And then we have the goods, the chocolate. These are so thick. So we've got dark chocolate orange, hazelnut truffle, and then mint fondant, all of which sound incredible. And then these are the little chocolate bars that I was talking about. So they have a vegan almond and sea salt one, which I think kind of has like a Mars bar texture, obviously not the flavour of a Mars bar. We also have a general hazelnut praline one, which just tastes like what it says on the tin. And then my personal favourite, vegan creamy coconut. I'd love to know how you guys feel about Bounty bars, but Bounties are personally one of my favourite chocolate bars ever. And I still think it's a travesty that the dark chocolate ones are not vegan, because milk has no business in that recipe whatsoever. But I love, love, love things like this where I can get my Bounty fix, but it's obviously vegan. So I am obsessed. I will obviously be eating some of these things this weekend, and I'll let you know what I think of them. These chocolate bars in particular just look so enticing. So I'm going to get on, go now and meet Lucy, and then I'll probably catch up with you when we are out for lunch. I haven't had anything to eat yet today, so I am ready to demolish some good food.
Just where it was needed, gleaming black as night, cloistered in injustice, dead in the eye of time. Nobody is losing, faces merge and change, but your face remains the same. Swallows will be here by dawn.
So it's now Sunday morning. Lucy obviously went home yesterday evening, but it was so nice to spend a couple of days with her and actually meet in person. It was just such a lovely couple of days. We obviously ate lots of great food, we watched quite a few episodes of Gilmore Girls, and we did some book shopping as well. And I had the best time exploring loads and loads of the independent bookshops in York, which I have just completely neglected to go into until this weekend. I love Waterstones, it is my go-to bookshop, but I'm very guilty of kind of just only shopping there when it comes to books and not really exploring what else might be on offer. But because Lucy was up and of course she loves books as well, it seemed like the perfect chance to try and explore some of the other bookshops that are around, and there are so many that I actually feel like I could do a full-on York independent bookshop tour, because there are just so many to explore. So we did go into a few, and because of that I naturally came away with a few books, because it would have been rude not to buy a few. So let's kick off Sunday with a little book haul. So the first one is probably my favourite, at least on aesthetic, because it is just beautiful. It says Gothic Fantasy, Mary Shelley Horror Stories, and so it's got the like Frankenstein's creature on the front. It's like green and gold, and it just looks so aesthetically pleasing. And in here there is Frankenstein. There are also some things from Lord Byron and a few other of like Shelley's contemporaries, and then some of her shorter stories which I've really never heard of before, but I'm very interested to explore, because Frankenstein is one of my favourite classics, and I just couldn't resist this book because the cover was just so mesmerising. So that was the first one. Next up, from Oxfam Books, I got this vintage copy of Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, which I just could not leave on the shelf because it was only £2.99, and on the cover, I couldn't quite see it because there is a sticker, but it looks like it was given to someone as a gift in 1951, which is just so crazy. So I absolutely love this. It's probably not going to be one that I ever read because I'm sure it's quite delicate, and I have other copies of Sense and Sensibility that I use for reading, but I just wanted this one on my shelf because it was so cute. And then moving on to the like new books, we have Maurice by Ian Forster. I don't really know too much about this book, but it is the Dark Academics book club pick for August and September. This one was picked by Carolyn, and she loves Ian Forster, so I'm very excited to read this one, and she did give it a really interesting description at the very end of the last Dark Academics live show, which made me excited to read it. And compared to the last book that we read, which I picked, which was The Goldfinch, which was massive, this one is a nice short read which should be nice and easy to get through. through. I then picked up a copy of My Policeman by Bethan Roberts. This one is getting turned into a movie, and I think the main character is going to be played by Harry Styles, but my friend Ciara read this one earlier this year and she talked about it in a way that just made me really keen to read it. So when I saw it in Waterstones yesterday afternoon, I just decided that I had to pick it up. I then came across a book that I've never heard of before and don't really know much about, but it is called Such Small Hands by Andreas Barber. Sorry, my brain completely lapsed in terms of being able to read just then, but it looked really creepy. It doesn't have a very big blurb. The back just says, Marina's father died instantly, her mother in the hospital. Now she lives in the orphanage with the other little girls, but Marina is not like the other little girls. And then there's like another thing at the very front of the novel, which says, and when the doll was so disfigured that she no longer looked like a human baby, only then did the girl begin to play with her. And it just sounds so creepy, and I thought this could be a really good one to read around like September, October time, when I start wanting to read more like gothic, spooky, ghosty reads. So that is the selection of books that I picked up over the weekend, along with all of the book shopping I did with Lucy. She managed to find a really cool edition of, I think, The Fellowship of the Ring in an Oxfam Books as well that she didn't have, and I was so enamoured by that because it just is so cool to see like how many different editions are out there of some classics, and Lucy has such a great collection of Tolkien books, so it was such a great find for her. I'm very happy with my own little haul. But on the topic of reading and what I'm actually going to be reading now, because I do need to get some reading done this weekend, I've kind of been inspired by Lucy and kind of just been prompted by the fact that I actually need to finish this book. So I'm actually going to make a start on The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, because Lucy, Mary and I are hosting the Fellowship of the Read-Along, and we have to read The Hobbit as well as watching the Hobbit movie adaptations by the end of this month. So I figured now would be the perfect time to make a start on reading The Hobbit, although I'm not sure that I'll be reading this one entirely on its own. I might end up doing a little bit of reading of this and then maybe picking up Sunset that I mentioned at the beginning of the vlog, because I do really want to read that one as well. But for now, I'm going to get settled down Sunday morning, do some reading and just see what The Hobbit has to offer. I feel like between the hair that is all over the place, the eye bags that someone could literally fall in and never be able to find their way out because the eye bags are so deep, and just the general vibe, I'm kind of like Monday personified. Like, I am Monday if Monday was a person. But that's okay. Despite how absolutely cream crackered I feel, I'm actually feeling very happy because I am loving The Hobbit. That brings me so much joy to say for several reasons. First of all, it's always a nice feeling when you're enjoying a new book. Second of all, as you'll know from the absolute train wreck that my last few vlogs have been, reading has been something I've been struggling with massively lately. I've just not been feeling very motivated. I feel like I haven't been getting much luck with the books I have been picking up, and just in general I've just not been feeling that connected to reading. And so to find a book that I actually am enjoying, that isn't a reread, that's a brand new book to me that I'm actually liking and want to read more of, that feels like a big win as well. And then thirdly and finally, it feels a big win to be enjoying this book in particular because, as I mentioned, I'm hosting a Tolkien themed read along with Mary and Lucy. I'll link both of them down below. And Lucy and I actually started this one last year when we read the 3 books from the main Lord of the Rings trilogy together, and I loved that experience. I especially loved the Fellowship of the Ring, but just the trilogy in general. I really liked the vibe. I watched the films and it was a lot of fun. And then Lucy and Mary decided that it would be fun to read some of the other works that Tolkien has created, like the Silmarillion and the Unfinished Tales, and things that kind of go a bit more into the history of Middle-earth. Now, unfortunately for me, I've just really struggled to get into them. I feel like they're a lot more context and history focused rather than character driven, which is I think what I enjoyed so much about the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And so I have been drowning in Tolkien and not really enjoying the process because I've just found all of the books so difficult. But finally reading The Hobbit, and I feel like I have reconnected with why I loved reading The Lord of the Rings so much last year, because this just has the exact same vibe. It takes a very similar format to The Lord of the Rings. We obviously start with Gandalf coming into the Shire and taking a hobbit on a journey and an adventure, and there's a lot of things that happen along the way, a lot of bumps in the road, but there's a lot of camaraderie and just a really nice group feel as all of these characters come together to fulfill a mission. And this is exactly what's happening in this book, and I really enjoyed seeing it in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I'm enjoying seeing it again. It's obviously, like I said, similar format but different enough that you're still invested to see what happens, and also a few familiar faces like Bilbo, like Gandalf, like my main guy Gollum. I'm just really enjoying it. So this feels like a big win, and I can't wait to keep reading. I'm currently on page 105 and this book has 260-ish pages altogether, so lots still left to read. I have also downloaded the audiobook, which I'm going to be listening to while I'm at the gym. I reckon I'll probably get through a couple of chapters at the gym, and then the rest of the time I'll just be reading physically. But yeah, feeling very happy despite what the exhaustion on my face might tell you. I'm feeling very content right now and just reinvigorated and happy to be reading something that I actually enjoy. So between yesterday evening, this morning at the gym, and then the couple of hours that I've had free after getting back from the gym and before I need to start work this morning, I've managed to completely devour The Hobbit, and I just finished it. It was such a lovely, uplifting read. I just feel like Tolkien in the story of The Hobbit and also just in the Lord of the Rings trilogy creates this like perfect balance of like cozy camaraderie and like team spirit and adventure, along with like the most beautiful descriptions of like nature and the surroundings that the characters are in. He builds up these incredible characters that you just can't help but get invested in, and also just like this massive like adventure spirit that creates a really like propelling storyline that you just don't want to put down. And I absolutely loved it. I've been kind of thinking as I've been getting towards the end of this book about whether I prefer this one to The Fellowship of the Ring, because that is my favourite book from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it is so difficult. What I will say is that obviously The Fellowship of the Ring is the first in a trilogy, and as someone who isn't a massive fantasy reader, the prospect of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, although it was an enjoyable experience, was still a little bit daunting because it's a lot of text and a lot going on, and it's just a lot basically. Whereas with The Hobbit, it's one story, we predominantly focus on just one main character, Bilbo Baggins, and it just feels a lot more succinct. Obviously The Hobbit was made as a children's fantasy rather than as an adult fantasy, so that definitely helps as well. But if it came to rereading any of the books or recommending it to someone else who's new to fantasy, I would definitely say The Hobbit is the one to go with, because it gives you a lot of the same spirit and style of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but in a much simpler and smaller way, so it kind of gives you the opportunity to see whether you'd be interested in trying out any of Tolkien's other works. But still, I can't quite decide what my favourite is. I feel like in this book, like I said, we've mostly got one main character, whereas in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, we of course mostly focus on Frodo and his journey with the ring, but there are lots and lots of other characters as well, and you can go for quite a while in some of the books where you don't even see anything of Frodo because you're focusing on other characters. That obviously adds a lot to the text, but it does mean that you can kind of be waiting around for a while before you get to your favourite part of the storyline, whereas in this one it is a lot more focused on just the one plot, the one quest, the one character, and it just makes it a lot easier to follow. But when push comes to shove, I think I do prefer Frodo and Sam and their story and their journey over Bilbo's just a little bit. But yeah, either way, I'm giving this one 5 stars. It was such an enjoyable experience, and I feel like it's just pushed me back into the world of loving books again, which was absolutely necessary because I was really struggling. So on that positive note, finishing the end of a literary quest, I think I'll also bring this reading vlog to an end. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on The Hobbit, as well as seeing what Lucy and I got up to over the weekend. As I've mentioned, Lucy's channel will be linked down below, as well as Mary, who is also hosting the Fellowship of the Read Along with us, and the live show date and everything for The Hobbit will be announced at some point very soon. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.